Hello and welcome to Will Henry's workshop, where we've hit a bit of a bump in the road. You'll recall I showed the installation of a barrel on the Remington 700, this one in 300 Winchester Magnum, and I had made a muzzle brake and put it on there. Everything worked out really great. The chamber's awesome, the muzzle brake's awesome, everything's awesome, except that when the customer picked it up and took it home to try it out, his first shot, he couldn't get the bolt open. Now, this is the third or fourth 30 caliber Magnum that I've made for him, so he pretty well knows what to expect. And the load that he was using, although it wasn't mild by any stretch, should not have caused any problems. So anyway, I told him to bring the rifle back, which he did, and we took it apart, and I checked the barrel out, trying to see what the problem was. And the first step was to slug the barrel. So I thought this would be a good opportunity to show just how that's accomplished and what we accomplished by it. So to slug the barrel, I keep a box of lead balls here on the bench, and I just start one of them into the muzzle. Then I use this piece of aluminum bar to protect the barrel. And I start that ball into the muzzle. Now when I do that, the ball swages down to a certain extent. I'm going to have to move that barrel due to the bevel at the end, but it also shaves off some lead so that the fit is a little bit loose. So what I do is I push that down into the barrel. See that little ring of lead that came off of it? And then I'll take another steel rod and put in from the other end. So I trap the little slug in between them, and I just give it a wrap to make sure that it's bumped up so that it's a tight fit in the barrel. Then the next thing is to just push our little slug back out. And there it is. And I'm going to show this to you, although I don't think my camera is good enough to show the rifling imprint on that slug. But trust me, it's there. So to measure it, set it back there. I just set up the micrometer in the vise gently. Then I orient my slug in here so that I'm measuring the groove diameter on that barrel. So I'm measuring the high spots on the slug. And sure enough, this slug measures 3064. Now, while I'm here, I'm going to rotate this 90 degrees first, just check the other direction. That's about 30635, so about a half a 10,000th difference. And anyway, I'm going to show you something, maybe. Whenever you're trying for really precise measurements, the accuracy of your measurements are determined by two things. Number one is the quality of the instruments, and number two is technique. Now here, I've just taken this slug and put it in my hands to warm it up. And although I'm feeling a little cold-blooded today, so I'm not sure how successful that's going to be. But then I'll measure it again. And sure enough, it's now 3065. So it gained 1/10,000th of an inch just by warming it up in my hands. And that's why when you're trying for really precise measurements, you have to watch your technique. And when you get a measurement that doesn't make a lot of sense, there might be a reason for it. So one thing I noticed with this barrel, when I was checking out, pushing that slug out, is it appeared as if the barrel might be a little tighter at the breech end. So we're just going to double check that. See if I can get the slug to go back in. Might be easier said than done. I might have to just do another one. I didn't think it'd be that hard. Oh, there we go. Anyway, it felt like it was a little tight at the breech end, so we're going to double check that first. Get it pushed in here. A ways. And then I'm just going to run it all the way through just to see. And sure enough, right about there, it's significantly tighter. And now when I say significantly, I should clarify that. It's hard to push, but that might only be indicative of a couple 10,000ths. With these barrels, this would be the match grade barrel. I think they guarantee a consistency within 3/10,000ths of an inch. And so it may well be within that. And I'm just going to measure again to see where it is after pushing it all the way through. But the reason that it's likely to be tighter at the back end, at the breech, is because although the barrel was probably stress relieved during manufacture after the button was pushed through, before it was tapered, there may have still been some residual stress in the blank, so that when it was turned, the thinner portion expanded slightly more than the thicker portion at the breech. I'm not saying that's what happened, but that's the most likely scenario. This is something that happens, well, with any barrel. If there's stress in the material, it's generally accepted that it's most common in barrels that are button rifled. But I've seen the same thing in barrels regardless of the method of manufacture. So let's see what we get now. Like I say, that while I could feel the difference, it's 306, 3.5. So there might be a half a 10,000th difference, but you're able to feel that with the slug. So that just goes to show that slugging a barrel is a fairly precise way to feel variations in the barrel. And this comes into play if you're lapping a barrel using a lead lap. You can feel very little variation in the barrel, and if you're able to lap and remove that and you can't feel it anymore, you can pretty well rest assured that if you can't feel it, it's not there. Anyway, this barrel, for its purpose, intended purpose, is no damn good. Now this barrel came from Pacnor, but that's in no way indicative of Pacnor's barrel making. This is a barrel that just got through quality control, and under normal circumstances, if I had bought this barrel directly from Pacnor, I don't think it would even be an issue. But as it happens, I bought it from a distributor who had bought it from Pacnor, but it was probably purchased by him 3 or 4 years ago. And as a consequence, the chain's stretched, if not broken. So in the end, the customer isn't going to suffer because of this, because no customer should. But poor old Will Henry is probably going to take a bath on this one, and that's just life in the slow lane in this case. Anyway, that's it for this segment. And so for now, this is Will Henry, out.